Welcome back to The Player's Perspective, a podcast hosted by Miller Cobb and powered by Hoosiers Connect. As the official NIL collective of IU Athletics, Hoosiers Connect provides exclusive access to IU student athletes, offering fans an inside look at their lives both in and out of competition. Tune in weekly to hear stories and perspectives from the incredible athletes that make Hoosier Nation proud.
Gabe Cupps. That was a great episode.
That was really good.
I was interested and really, I was really selfish in this episode in that I just wanted to learn for myself. And I think hopefully the listeners will enjoy that as well, because the questions that I was asking were just questions about his childhood and how they impacted him today. And that's like what inspires me and it's pretty cool to hear.
It was really interesting because out of the gate, he talked about he was really critical of himself.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting, and especially coming from an outside perspective where it's Gabe's a hustle man. Gabe is a work ethic man, and it's hard to even from the outside perspective be oh, he should have worked harder. Because all you see is how much he works and how much he puts into it. And so to hear him kind of be oh, I should have done better and stuff like that, it was kind of disappointing to see, but you definitely pulled it out of him a little bit more and kind of talked about why he felt that way. And we got back to a positive kind of roll with the conversation.
Well, the psychology of a guy and a player like that is so interesting, because I was the same way. Still am, but not to the same extent.
Yeah.
Is you're hypercritical of yourself, and it's a good thing, but it can also continue to push you into a negative train of thought. And I just wanted to kind of dive into the psychology of that and where that came from and how he's kind of growing from that. And
because he's still young,
super young. And super hungry to learn more and to improve. And hearing about his basketball upbringing was probably one of the coolest things, in his relationship with his dad, and the fact that his dad has always been his coach, and how Coach Woody is his first other coach, his second coach he's ever had, and how that's playing a role in his last year and earning Woody's trust, but also, probably trying to, trust Woody, because Woody's the first ever coach that he, was playing for besides his dad. So that was just cool to kind of, peel back.
Yeah. I mean, it must be really challenging to make that transition, especially when you're someone like Gabe that just has this mindset and is super zoned in all the time. I mean, he talked about it was a very, I want to say emotional episode.
No, it was. You could hear it. You could hear the emotion in his voice about his dad and training and being in the basement, doing ball handling drills, just trying to get 50 left-handed pounds.
Yeah.
And being the first kid in his grade who could do it between the legs. Dribble, that is, not dunk.
And then being vulnerable just about the moments where, his dad was his coach, and where his dad was his dad.
Yep.
Because I would never be able to share that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate, and I told him I appreciated the time and the vulnerability is it's something I hope to get from this episode and this podcast is are the stories that aren't Googleable. They're not out in the open for people just to find. And, he was, cool enough to share that stuff, and it inspired me and it made me feel amazing. And it was a really cool perspective he gave on his mindset and his dad and his coach and just basketball in general.
Yeah. What else did you guys talk about?
It was a big relationship episode, and it was basketball episode in terms of his growth and his development and his improving the game, improving at certain things that he's focused on this offseason. And I've been able to see it up front for about a month and a half, since I've been in Bloomington. And man, he's worked his tail off. And
because you guys have kind of worked with the same guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Isaac Green on staff is a guy he's worked with all summer, like I think like 6 a.m. every morning, the whole summer. And so even when Gabe went to New York City for Reed Shepard's draft, the draft, Isaac set him up with a gym to work out because he's like, he doesn't miss a day, no matter what. And it's cool to see that, but that's why also we talked about like the psychology behind that, because I was the same way. And I shared kind of my stories about being too tight and constrictive about like the game and how it can kind of be a negative.
Also just like toning it down a little bit when the time is right.
Yes. Yeah, which he's still learning, and maybe he'll never tone it down, but that's just who he is, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Which I realized midway through is like, maybe that is his balance. And so I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was talking about like, we talked to him right before they went on break, before they come back for fall conditioning and stuff like that. And he was just talking about, I'm looking forward to going back and like, having my dad rebound and stuff like that and everything. And it's like, wow, you're no days off.
It's no days off. It is no days off for Gabe Cupps.
And it's really admirable for someone of that age to be like that and just have that mentality. Now, you also talked about just like different books that you guys had read and stuff that a little bit. I know you're kind of getting into the book
realm,
and he's
10 pages every day. That's all I got.
He's read a decent amount as well, just from his dad and everything. But
his dad has actually written a book.
Yeah.
Check it out, people. I forget the name of it, but just look it up.
How do you think that kind of like reading books that might not necessarily be about basketball can help on the basketball court?
Well, I think it helps because it can give you a release, a break mindset wise from the game and from the court and from just all the stressors that come with the game of basketball and the expectations. And the books he was talking about were books about perspective. And, I think that is a big thing for him because his freshman year, he talked about it, the ups and downs and how much he grew.
And he was truly thrown into a position that I don't think anybody expected him to be in.
Yeah, he was thrown in the fire, and he talked about that. And that's why he was also so hard on himself, because his expectations are so high because he works so hard. And, it all just comes from a good place with him.
Yeah. Well, it's an awesome episode, so it's a good listen, and excited to share it with the world, right?
Absolutely. It's going to be a good one. Gabe Cupps, man. Appreciate you joining me and doing this thing. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm glad I've gotten to know you a little better, or a little more, and see you work and hear a lot about you through Isaac.
Yeah.
Because me and Isaac spent the summer working together and living together, and you came up a lot, which is always good. But I guess going into your second year, and this isn't all just about Indiana basketball. What's a main focus for you, and what does like success look like for you? Not just for Indiana, but just overall, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I base my success off of just like how well I can help our team win. That's like the basketball answer I would give, but I would say like personally, to me, it would just look like and feel like playing with a lot more confidence than I did last year. I obviously didn't think I performed very well, didn't help the team as best I could last year, which, I mean, every player to an extent is going to feel like that after every year. Like anybody that really cares.
Yes.
Like you always think about the stuff that you could have done more. And so I feel like that's the biggest thing that I can do is just play free, have confidence. And I feel like if I do that, then success, whatever that is for people, I get that for myself.
Yeah. What's that success look like to you? Or maybe just feel like? Because I know for me it's been, sometimes it's been just a feeling of like, I know I did everything I could to that day or that game. And it's not about a box score number, a minutes played, or a, win or loss. Because sometimes you can lose a game, but really still feel like, you know what, like I did all that I could.
Yeah. For me, I would say just like maximizing my gifts and what I've been given and the opportunities. I feel like that's something that I've always tried to like live by. Just maximizing what I have. And I feel like if I can do that, then obviously I'm going to be pretty good. Whether that's in basketball, in life, in school, whatever. But I think it also allows me to help other people, inspire other people to do the same thing. Like I think if a bunch of people come together of themselves just maximizing themselves, like not very many places have that.
Dude, I agree. I feel like that's always been something that's like it's a battle against yourself, and it's like a cliche thing, but at the end of the day, there's so many variables that change. Coaches change, players change, seasons change. No team and no season is the same. But the only thing that really can stay consistent is your work and your habits and your routine, which is something that I've been very interested about you. And this is not even honestly for the podcast. Me and Isaac have spent this past summer just obsessed with. And for context, Isaac Green is on staff here at Indiana, and he let me stay with him for the summer. And so I was lived with him in his extra bedroom, and so we spent all summer together working out and training, and great guy. But we talked a lot about basketball and leadership and work ethic and how to kind of like maximize, like you said, like my summer. Yeah. That was kind of the focus, is like, how do I improve as much as I can on these specific things, as much as possible in this short amount of time before Summer League. And you came up a lot because you guys work, every day. How has this summer been with a more intentional focus?
Yeah.
In your work?
Yeah. Isaac, before every workout, like asks me what my intention is for the day. Like I have to say it every time, and usually it's been high, straight, and up for my shot. And I think just focusing on those things, on my jump shot specifically, has helped me a ton. Like not worrying about makes and misses as much. I know if I do those three things, like I'm gonna maximize the chance I have to be successful when it comes to shooting. But I mean, I feel like my workouts this summer have been good, been intentional, and I feel like I'm starting to see progress. And when you start doing something like basketball, you could see a lot of progress at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it kind of takes you don't really see too much for a little bit.
It's not like a plateau, but it's not as rapid of growth.
And so I think like any time that you can sense that like progress, it's rejuvenating to your work ethic a little bit.
Yeah, and me and him will watch film at night of practices, and it was funny because we talked and for hours and hours on end over the first couple nights, probably the first week to 10 days, about you and about like your development and your growth and the focus. Because for me, this summer it was all about like refining my game, refining my shot, kind of just like sharpening the sword. Because I know I'm not asked to do much more than shoot the ball, space the floor, and create action.
Yeah.
And I was like challenging him to ask him about like, what does that mean for you? And he was like, well, these are the things he does well. These are the things he excels at, that I can always bank on him doing. But I'm like, what else is there that he can really focus on? That like, if he does these things, he will improve this team and himself in the process. So what do you think those things are?
Yeah, I would say leading.
In its simplest form.
Like a one sentence,
Yeah.
or like.
Give me 2 sentences, and then we'll break it down to even one. And this is for me, dude. This is not even a podcast thing. This is like just a basketball junkie to a basketball junkie.
I would say in my mind, it's been playing and communicating with confidence. That's like what in my mind it's been this summer. Like that's been like what I've been trying to do.
That's good, man. That's really good. That's okay. So where do you think the confidence comes from?
I think like everybody says it always comes from your work, and I agree with that. I feel like some people, at least this is how I see it, like kind of like the end of the season thing, like you always think about what you could do better, what you could do more.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why like guys like us, we do more. But that also makes it tougher for us to be like content with what we've done.
Dude.
And
Exactly.
I feel like that contentment and like the motivation, like on that balance is where you find the confidence.
Exactly. Dude, it's funny you say that because I've struggled with that for so long, for my whole career. I still do. And this is a funny story. I was in high school. I wanted to get offers. Like that was obviously my goal. I wanted to get offers, and I wanted to be ranked in the top 100 on ESPN because like it just looked cool. Zion was ranked in there, and it just was awesome. And so my senior year, and this is like junior, senior year in high school, I was so obsessed and just like psychotic about working out and training that I learned, you know what like homeostasis is?
Yeah.
So it's like your body, like in a sauna, your body will try to achieve homeostasis by, the external sauna is super hot, so your body will try to like cool it down, and balance it out. And in the process, it burns energy and it takes work, right? And so my theory was that if I chugged super cold water before I went to bed, okay, like I could like 2 massive Yeti cups. That my internal organs would be so cold that it would take like a couple hours for my body to like have to work to warm it up.
So you're working while you're sleeping.
I'm working while I'm sleeping. So like that's to the extent where it's like that's just not healthy.
Yeah.
And to your point, like dude, the balance of like being content with the work you put in, but also not being content with the work you've put in because you don't want to leave anything out, but you also need to understand, like, I've had to tell myself, hey, you did it. You did enough for today. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Or before a game, you did your routine. Go to, get ready for the game. Take a deep breath. So that for me has been the biggest adjustment, and it all is just trial and error.
Yeah.
At that point, but. What do you think the next step is for you in that realm?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you said. Like just being able to do that consistently, where you can just like, all right, dude, like you're good, chill. Because like so many times, like I'm sitting doing something at home, and I'm just like, oh, I should work out. Oh, I should work out. Now I'm like, none. Like you just worked out. You just came back. 30 minutes later, like you should work out. It's just like, I feel it like every time it says in my head, it's my dad's voice.
Really?
Like my dad, when I was growing up, he never really like asked me like, yo, do you want to go work out?
Uh-huh.
He would never come to me. Like it would always be me like going to him like, hey, can we go shoot?
Yeah.
And he would be like, yeah, let's go. He said yeah every time. So I feel like it's me having that, like, not around my dad as much anymore. It's like it's me having that internal conversation with myself that I used to have every day with my dad.
That was also something I was curious about. It's like where that came from. And my first inclination is like, oh, it must have been his dad, like saying, hey, let's go to the gym, or always being at the gym and, you know, whatnot. So to hear the fact that he never like came to you and said, hey, let's go to the gym or let's shoot, that's wild to hear.
Yeah, it was never like, the way I started playing basketball was I would go down in my basement, because where I'm from, like super small town. So like we didn't even have basketball teams like there, except the high school level. And that's where my dad coached. So like we would go down in the basement, and he would like give me a challenge, like 50 left-hand pound dribbles in a row. Once I got that, I got a sticker. And I had this giant sticker board where I would just like put my stickers, and I would go left-hand passes or something. So I was just down there doing ball handling drills while like, I feel like other kids my age were probably playing games already.
Yeah.
But I had like no idea how to play. And then I came to Centerville, which is where my family lives now. Bigger city. Basketball teams, you know, from kindergarten up, and I didn't know how to play. Like, but I could dribble. I could
like play
pass.
the game.
Yeah, but like I was the only kid on my team that could go between the legs, but I didn't know when. And so then like I feel like me and my dad have always called it like the European upbringing, because like in America, like everybody just tries to play really quick.
Yeah.
And
it's all live.
in Europe,
it's all 5 on
like,
5 and 1
it's
on
all
1.
these drills and like getting better, getting fundamentals, and then you go play and you figure out how to play.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that like it's never been really that much about the game. It's been about the process and the work. That's where basketball originated for me. So I feel like that's where, like, that's why I take so much joy in the process and the work.
It like connects you to your childhood and your upbringing. That's where you found the value.
Yeah. And it was time with my dad too.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Is that something that's like you miss not having anymore being in college?
Yeah. And I think he missed it too. Like every time I go home, like I'm sure this month that I'm home, like anytime he's like that I'm going to shoot, he's gonna be like, yo, can I come rebound?
Yeah.
So like he writes me letters every week, and like he talks a bunch about like missing rebounding for me and all this stuff. So like,
dude, that's
it's tough to like, you know, obviously it makes you sad.
Yeah,
but, like,
no, dude.
Me and my sister both have a hard time like realizing that like you can never go back, but like it's tough.
Dude, it's hard, man. I still remember. I appreciate you saying that stuff, man, because it brings back memories for me. Because I remember my dad wouldn't allow me to. We do form shooting on the rim, and he wouldn't let me move a spot until I made it like X amount of row with just one arm, and then we'd move to like a step to the left, and then we'd go around the rim, and it'd be like, all right. After like 2 weeks of not, you know, chucking it and getting strong enough, we'd be, you know, take a step back.
Yeah.
And just like little stuff like that you never, in the moment, you're just learning. It's just a game, and you're just playing it. And you're thinking of the skills, and you're thinking of just learning how to shoot. Like you said, like learning how to just do pound dribbles, learning how to do it between the legs. Like that's the stuff that I forget about basketball, is that it's a game, and it's a series of skills, and then it comes down to like putting it into action and stuff. But like I've always said it's about the people you do it with and the memories you're making in the process. And dude, that's awesome. Is there any like way, shape, or form that you would be able to get back into your dad coaching you again? Have you thought about that?
I haven't. I mean, he has always said like he's going to stay in high school until I get out of college, and then he'll see what else, you know. But I mean, right now I've seen him transition so much from like being like coach like 90% of the time, dad 10%, to like flipping.
Really?
Like he's almost become like dad and then coach a little bit. Like it's been weird because, you know, he's the only dude I've ever played for.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was also an adjustment. Like I've never played for anybody else. So like coming here freshman year, like in practices in high school, somebody said something to me, I could be like, yeah, Dad, like, is that right? Like, you believe that too?
Yep.
Like, I have to find that.
Yeah, he was your, soundboard to confirm trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it hard to trust Woody as the new your first coach besides your dad?
I mean, I wouldn't say hard. It's hard to not trust him because of how much he's been around the game. And if you're around him for 20, 30 minutes talking about basketball, you can get a pretty good understanding that he knows what he's talking about. And I mean, I feel like it was more for me just like trying to build that relationship with Woody. Almost like I knew it was never going to get to where my dad and my relationship is. Like, that's just impossible. But like, I had about the closest relationship you can get with my coach for my entire life. So I feel like it was more just like trying to establish that relationship, and I'm still trying to grow it, and I feel like that's also something that can comfort you, is having complete trust and a great relationship with the people that you're, like you said, like surrendering to a little bit.
Yeah, you're being vulnerable. Like, choosing to play for a coach is, like you said, you're surrendering your time, and you're putting yourself in the palm of their hand. Yeah, you have some power, here and there, but they're putting you in the game. I had a visit to SMU, and the coach, we were meeting in his office, and he said, you know what makes a good college experience? You know what make or break your college experience? He said, and I was like, who? I was like, my mom, my dad, no. Grades, no. He said, the head coach. And I was like, why? Because he said, if I don't put you in the game, you're probably going to not have a good time here. And it just kind of changed my perspective of like, the coach has a lot of power, and that can mess up a relationship.
Yeah.
And that can change a relationship. How is, like, your dad, you said he was coach 90 and then dad 10 and then flipped. How was that dynamic growing up? And was there any difficult situations
for sure up? It was tough. I mean, I think we got a lot better at it. By the time I was a junior, senior, like, we had it figured out, just like when we were, player coach, when we were dad and son. And basically it was just like gym, coach, home, dad.
Yeah.
But like, we were at the gym 12 hours of the day. So like, but I mean, one that I remember is my freshman year. He hands me Extreme Ownership, the book.
Oh yeah.
And this is before I had played a high school game.
It's a heavy hitter book too.
He just goes, I'm going to blame everything on you for the next 4 years. I was like, all right.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm trying to come into high school, like, prove myself a little bit. And he's just giving me that. So I'm like, yeah, all right. And we start practicing, and I don't even remember what happened, but all I remember is he's about this close to my face. And he's yelling, take some responsibility for you and the team. And he's just screaming in my face. And, like, I don't understand really why, but...
That was freshman year?
Yeah. At the time, I was like, dude, I want to punch this guy in the face. But, like, looking back on it, I can see, like, he didn't really care about what was happening in that practice.
Yeah.
He was just trying to, like, set the tone for, like, what was to come and what my teammates should expect. Because, like, okay, he yells at somebody else, like, he knows he can do whatever he wants to me too. Like, he could push somebody and, like, get fired, but, like, he pushes me, like, what am I going to do, tell my dad?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, I feel like him just getting that close to me and screaming, like, my teammates were like, oh shit, like, you better, like, chill.
You're like, okay, well,
right.
yeah, if he's gonna get this treatment, I better, like, stand up straight and come in on time and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, we had some tough times like that. Where like, I mean,
It's understandable.
probably after that, I didn't talk to him for a couple hours, but I mean, eventually, you know, it went back to normal. And my mom did a big part in that, like just being like, you guys are being soft right now.
That's what moms are the best for a lot of stuff, but that stuff especially is like, get some food in you, eat something,
Just chill out.
lay down, take a nap. You eat some food and you go to sleep. And you wake up.
Yeah.
You're probably 95% of the time you're gonna be.
You
fine.
get some mental clarity.
Yeah, yeah, man. So, dude, I'm really intrigued by your story and your upbringing, but I'm also, you know, I'm interested in how that kind of shaped your experience last year. And I know this is like an Indiana podcast or whatever, but I know my freshman year was just rocky, was nuts, was up and down. I started some games. I came off the bench. We lost freaking 10 in a row in Big Ten play, and you know, but I grew so much. I'm curious what your thoughts are on last year and like the perspective kind of you've gained and how your perspective has changed throughout the year.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you said, obviously, like you feel like it was rocky. Like that's the same way I feel about last year. Like I've always been on winning really good teams. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we had a chance to, you know, we were right there to be in the tournament, but like, I don't know, it felt different. And I feel like learning kind of took like the top place at the podium for me pretty quickly that year. Mm-hmm. Like it was like, you need to see what's going on and you need to learn as much as you can so that you can like prevent it from feeling like this again, like prevent it from being rocky.
Mm-hmm. Because there's only so much you can do as a freshman, like on the court. Yeah. In terms of impacting not just the team as a whole and as a unit and in the game, but on a interpersonal level. Like my freshman year, I had some of the best seniors ever that I still talk to this day. Guys who would give me rides, guys who would help me out with Ubers and stuff and whatever it may be. And as a freshman, I didn't have that responsibility. Yeah. You just don't. Yeah. You can't. That's just not the way it is. And so like you said, the number one goal probably should be just to learn and be a sponge and soak up as much as information as possible. And so now you said, you know, the top of the podium would be, you know, was learning and absorbing information. What would you say it is now?
Like go after it. Like feel like I've just been like chomping at the bit like all summer. Yeah. Like ever since last season. Like that'll get a competitor going. Like a season that you feel like you didn't do very well personally, you didn't do very well as a team. Like that'll get somebody going who really cares about the game, cares about what they're doing.
I could tell we're similar in the fact that we're very, very hard on ourselves. Yeah. Like to the point where it's just like it's hard to, there's a point of like self-reflection that you need to have as a player that some people just don't have. They never look inward of like, what could I have done better? What could I have tweaked in my training? What could I have added? What could I have stopped doing? You know, and some people don't have that, but obviously I could tell, and I, you know that you do, and that's only going to serve you in the future. And now it's just about, in my opinion, which is what it is just, you know, finding the ebbs and flows of the balance of that, and what makes you feel good and what makes you feel, you know, at ease, and which just comes with time, man. Yeah. Because shoot, that was your freshman year. Like you'll get to you'll get to be a senior because I was talking to Ant and Gallo and everybody, like, you'll get to that point and you'll be like, man, not only like do I like, am I interested to go back or want to go back, or you won't have any like regrets. You'll be appreciative that everything happened the way it did.
Yeah.
Knowing that, like you said, you maxed out everything you could.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have, and you could probably tell from high school, like when you look at your high school career, what comes to mind?
I mean, I've thought a lot about my high school career, like comparative to last year.
Uh-huh.
Like my freshman year, in high school, like we weren't very good. We were probably a little bit over 500, but like we got to like the regional finals and then lost to a really good team. But then like sophomore year, like it was different. Like I was hungry. Like I saw stuff. Like I was ready to go. Like I knew what to expect. I was going after it. And I feel like my sophomore season is the biggest thing that sticks out to me when I think back to my high school season, because like it was just like, we had 7 guys that were good, and we had 5 seniors that were like not good enough to play, but like they did everything right, like competed against us in practice every day. And so then like my sophomore season, like right away it became like I gotta win for those seniors, I gotta win for those guys. And like we were playing well, like 18-3, lost to like one of the worst teams in our conference, and then we were like, and we didn't lose again, won the state.
Really?
Like, and I still remember like the interview after the state, I was like, I wanted to win for the seniors. Like
That's it.
Like, and like I feel like it didn't really matter to me. Like I just wanted to win for them. Like, and those dudes are like some of the best guys I've ever met.
Dude, that's awesome, bro. I just having that like mindset and mentality of like, it's not about you. It's not about you as a person. It's about like the other guys, and that's what makes basketball so awesome as a team sport. Is like you're addicted to the process, and your intrinsic like motivation for like winning is not about you, it's about somebody else. So then it takes away there's pressure, of course, it's there's winning and losing, there's pressure and everything, but it takes away like the like heaviness, the cloud of like bad stuff that might happen if you lose away, because you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for somebody else, and you're doing it because you love the day-to-day, the step, the process that it involves. And dude, we're very similar, man, because my freshman year we were like second to last in the Big Ten. The last team was Illinois, I think, or something, but we were playing the first round of the Big Ten tournament. It was Northwestern and Illinois. And I started, but my senior, like the one I was closest with, senior wing, Vic Law, was injured. So, I was starting in front of him. And we lost in like overtime. It was a crazy game. And like I missed a shot to win it or send it to overtime and turned it over, like whatever. But after the game, I felt terrible. I still have never felt that bad after a game my whole entire life, because I realized like they don't have any more time, at least in college. And they all play professionally now, but they didn't have any more time with us and with our group. And I sat in the bathroom like crying because I was like, dude, I couldn't do it for them. I couldn't help them. And, understanding that it's not about you, it's about the team, it's about the guys, and it's about the people in the locker room. That's what matters the most. And I'm hoping that this season you guys get that, because that's what makes you play harder.
Yeah, when
that's
you
what makes
got everybody just worrying about like how can I win for the other guys, like It's almost impossible to beat those teams.
Dude, it is, and things happen, but it makes the ups and downs. It makes the downs a million times easier to get through, because you know ultimately that you got a group of people that are going to get through no matter what.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
You're right at it.
We're at the clock, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. Gabe, I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck, but I don't think it's luck, man. It's all about the work. It's about the habits. I always say it's habits, not hope. But I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man.
We hope you loved this episode of Players Perspective. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Stay connected with Hoosiers Connect on social media for even more exciting content featuring IU student athletes. Until next time, Hoosier Nation.